I'm guessing quite a few of you have seen that ESPN interview from at least 15 years ago between Joe Rogan and Lou DiBella on the topic of, well, the way it's all set up is MMA versus boxing. Joe Rogan, of course, younger at the time, is a little bit boisterous. He's probably a bit more mature now. I might even cringe at some of the things he said back then, but it was set up to be entertaining. One of the things he did say, though, when comparing the merits of MMA to boxing, is that he said that boxing is kind of a silly agreement. Now, this is an opinion that I think many MMA guys will still hold on to and believe. Francis Ngannou, before he got absolutely blasted out by Anthony Joshua, perhaps a telltale sign of not having full confidence in himself, was saying before the fight, well, if this was MMA, you guys would be done like that. And in the wake of him getting so blasted out, many guys have come to his defense and said, well, look, it wasn't MMA, it wasn't a real fight. But what do we mean here by real fight? It seems to be that you're basically pointing towards a street fight. Now, in a street fight, there are no rules. They're spontaneous. You're probably not going to be wearing the right footwear. It's going to have no traction. You might be in your best suit, right? Now, putting to one side the idea of other people getting involved or picking up weapons, is it not now MMA that's a bit of a silly agreement? If some guy's got you in a chokehold, right? If for some silly reason you're on the floor, which is less preferable, believe me, is going to be on concrete, you're going to be trying to gouge that guy's eyes out to get him off you. Now, this is the difference here, of course. Would I recommend that as a sport? No, it's kind of animalistic. But the things you're kind of allowed to do in MMA, you get the opponent in some desperate situations, but now you're not allowed to go for the groin. You're not allowed to bite. You're not allowed to go for the eyes. These are things that Bruce Lee promoted, right? And in the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist, he said, look, with diagrams, if you're in a street fight, these are the sensitive areas you want to go for. Now, no doubt about it, being able to grapple, wrestle, restrain is going to be very useful when getting into a scuffle. But you really don't want to be getting on the floor. I've heard a lot of people say that. And from my experience of having witnessed a few street fights, the way they happen, it's fists that people go for. Throwing a punch seems to be the most instinctual and the quickest way to conclude something that, of course, could be life-threatening. So when you get people saying, oh, it was boxing, it wasn't a real fight, well, actually, you're not talking about a real fight either. It seems to be, in order for it to be a real fight, you need to say no to any rules. Now, during this interview, I think it was Lou DiBella who brought up the salient point. The different sports. They cater to different audiences. For me, they're kind of like oil and water, I gotta say. I do not like the term combat sports that tries to bunch it all together. Now, I know a lot of channels cover both boxing and MMA, but really, I think in your heart, you're more of a fan of one or the other. And I'm going to be doing a video next week about why the term combat sports is basically stupid. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, go fish it out. It's a pretty amusing video. It's all a bit of fun, isn't it? I gotta say, I do think the way Ngannou handled his loss to AJ, the way he showed his face after getting blasted, that was a good look. Very good sportsmanship. Okay, I'm sure the 20 million helped. And the likes of Dan Hardy, who's pretty regular now on some stuff like TalkSport, gets his points across well, doesn't get emotional. He seems to be in favour of the crossover fights. I'm not, but we can agree to disagree there. What do you make of this kind of juvenile argument, though? What to you is a real fight? Spoons up.